Now that the major is done, it's time to look forward toward stage 2. This is Reverse Sweep's preview show, where we're gonna look at everything that's gonna happen with these 12 teams moving forward. Now let's pull up that bracket from the major, see how things played out. Atlanta, perhaps no surprise, on top, undefeated at the major and in stage 1, the best possible outcome any team could hope for. Dallas and the likes of New York and Optic right behind them in that major. And then unfortunate teams like London and Seattle still having a bit of a tough go and kind of a jumble in the middle of teams shifting up and down and how they're doing. But now everything kind of resets for the time being, Enable and Pacman. We're gonna get ready for new groups. So Pacman, if people aren't familiar, could you kind of walk them through how picking these groups works?
Yeah, so FaZe and Dallas were their top 2 teams. So essentially, FaZe picks the team they don't want to play against to go into Dallas's group. So most likely it'll be FaZe will pick Optic because they're the next best team, and that'll be in Dallas's group. And then Dallas picks whoever gets to go in the other one. And then they go back and forth until all the groups are seeded out, just like last time. So we might see something similar, but teams like New York will get picked higher than they were previously because now the competition views them as being a better team. And teams like London and Seattle will be picked last because they're seen as the bottom of the barrel. Right. So essentially it's kind of like schoolyard pick. Who's gonna be like the fat kid to be last picked.
Yeah, and Atlanta, as you heard from Pacman, will get to go first. They were the top in their group, no surprise in stage 1. Will start top of their group in stage 2. But let's talk about everyone as a whole, right? Because it's really easy to talk about the best teams because they're doing so well. But some of these teams now, Enable, probably need to start considering roster changes. Do you agree with that? Do you think it's too early, or are people's heads on the chopping block?
I don't think it's too early. There's only so much time in each year when it comes to Call of Duty, right? You don't want to start off slow and not make a change and risk the opportunity in front of you, because if you wait too long, then you're screwed. Then it gets to a point where now you really don't have any options, and it's like halfway in the season, you can't turn it around at all. So I definitely think the teams that are in that 8 through 12 range need to start thinking about potentially making a change. It's a little different, I think, for each team. But at the end of the day, all of these teams want to win. All these players want to win. You're not going to be happy with a top 6.
Pacman, how does London win?
Oh, I mean, jeez. I'm like one of those people that would be, if I was a GM of a sports team or something like that, I'd be pretty heartless about it. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's a business at the end of the day, and they need to do something. If Zero can't get there to play, they have a lot. Like I actually think you have to get rid of pretty much everyone. With that team, I probably wouldn't get rid of Dylan, even though he hasn't been playing the best. And then I'd have to rebuild around. If that's getting,
you don't want Shawnee?
No. If that's getting, it's not nothing against Shawnee. It's just. It doesn't work. It's not working. You have to try something else. If that's me. I've said that before, and then people get on me. But there's no emotions involved. I have nothing against Shawnee, nothing against any of these players.
If I was the
trying
GM,
to build a winning team.
If I was the GM of London, I'd blow it up trade for picks. But I'm also interested as to why they chose Parasite over Zed, because Zed's been on the roster, right? The whole time he's been a sub. I wonder if Trey. Ideally, you want Trey to come over. And you probably want him to run that main AR because he's proven in the past that he can be a top AR in the game. But I wonder why they wouldn't try and pair up Zed with Dylan and Alex, assuming that he can come back, because Zed is a pretty aggressive player, compared to Parasite. I just don't see why they haven't thought of that. I don't know what the reason could be behind the scenes.
Internal politics.
Yeah, it could be a bunch of things, but I just feel like
role based. Like
Zed is a clear.
Alex is running a sub with Dylan already. Could have been something like that.
I guess that's true, but I mean the game right now is like. It doesn't matter if you're running the sub or the AR. You need to be decisive and aggressive because both guns do it all.
True.
It's not like if you run the M4, you got to play slow.
Right.
Needless to say, they're in the toughest spot to me because I feel like they don't have a single player that I look at and I'm like, this is a standout player. So I'm not really sure where they begin or even what their options are, what their salary caps are looking like, or
because you would assume that if they were to pick up young talent, it'd be from the UK scene.
I
right?
think that's always been London's thing, right? I believe that they wanted to be.
But do you think that's a detriment to them?
Without a doubt.
Absolutely. It's 2021, baby. It's time to make the best team possible. Get that out. What are you talking about? They don't live in London. They live in like Charlotte or something.
They're in the States.
Drop that.
Like, I don't know what the UK challenger scene is like, the international scene, but there's a lot of very good talent out there in the NA challenger scene. Mm-hmm. So I would take a risk and sign someone, even if it's to like a 14-day contract, and just see, because you need to do something.
Right.
You don't want to be like Seattle Surge last year, where you're just the worst team and
you're gonna stay the worst team, yeah.
But Seattle Surge, then you're the second worst team, so that's a little bit of an improvement. But you're still terrible. So what do you do? Great, Octane's really good, but what do we do?
Sam is really good. He's had a rough go over the last couple of years, but I don't even know because I look at their roster.
Would you put him in a similar situation then to London of like?
No, because they have people on their team that are like champions. Mm-hmm. So London that doesn't have champions. That's the biggest difference.
They got Parasite, world champ.
Like 9,412 years ago. But Seattle is like, Gunless is recent champion. Sam, Looney's won like 10, I don't even know how many championships, but champions with a multiple title, a lot. Pristini's literally a world champion on land, so you can't say anything about that. Like, they have champions, so it's a lot different, but they don't work. They have to do something. I don't know what it is. They got to do something too.
I'm going to come at this from a different angle. Because we're speaking like if we were the GMs of the team, right? I want Seattle to be a competitor, turn things around. I would try and dish Sam to a different team. Because
I thought of that too.
The reason why Sam, obviously one of the best players in recent CODs, so he's getting a bag. There's a salary cap.
The man's making some money.
They don't have, well, I don't know what it's like this year because I wasn't on the team, but I'm assuming if you have Octane, you have Gunless, you have Pristini Looney, they're getting paid handsomely.
They're probably hitting it. Yeah.
I would try and do a Blockbuster trade because no one is really going to want Looney or Pristini or maybe even Gunless, right? Because of, for all different reasons.
He can be hard to play with.
True.
Yeah, for a bunch of different reasons. People want Sam still. Sam will be a hot commodity compared to the others. So I would try and trade him out for another, good player, maybe some, or freeze up salary cap, like maybe two, I don't know. But besides that, what do you do? Who's taking Pristini or Looney right now? Unless you go for a challenger scene.
That's true. They shouldn't do that challenger thing again. They clearly didn't know what the hell they were doing when they tried that before. They should just, but I mean, if they do give away Sam, I feel like you can actually ask for a real package. Yeah. Like you can ask for really competitive players because Sam's going to help whatever team he goes to. So let's just go with LA Thieves because I just feel like that's an easy one to do because he was already a part of that team. Mm-hmm. Say you were to send away everyone besides Ken, Donnie and Tej to Seattle, they could figure out something to do with the team, right? They could try to figure out something to do. Not saying that, but that's a good way to look at it. You might need to think out of the box. Obviously, no matter what Sam's been doing on the map, no matter how good he's been, it just hasn't worked with Seattle.
I think it needs to be a Blockbuster deal because it's not a one-person issue on Seattle.
No, it's not.
I just think their dynamic does not work, and they don't have the luxury of maybe being able to swap roles like, say, LA Thieves would with Kenny and Temp. So you need to just go a new route. Like, as much as I love Sam, clearly his time on Seattle has not worked out for either side. They've had two completely different teams, but the same makeup. A lot of people's opinions on our team last year was a lot of veteran role sort of players, gap fillers. That's what they have this year, besides Sam.
Right. I don't even know if I believe that. That's just what people say.
Yeah, that's just the general opinion.
Right.
But I think they got to try and deal Sam if they can.
Thing is, there's not many teams, because Sam is Sam and one of the best ARs, period. He is one of the guys that's making the upper echelon. I don't know if there's many teams that can even take Sam's contract on.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
With someone else.
You do a combo package where one for two players.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe something like you can do like maybe accuracy and attach or priest or something like that. And because obviously something where both teams need assistance in some way. Sam's that kind of guy that can do that and just change the general atmosphere.
Yeah, new
I feel
environment.
like new environment, new everything. It can work wonders for you. You can go from being someone who's struggling or maybe even close to on their way out. Not that Sam is, but I'll just go with Ian for an example. You were on Lightning Pandas. Not that you were bad or by any stretch.
Oh, I was hanging on for dear life.
Right. But then you go to TK and all of a sudden you're frying. You're winning. You're literally winning tournaments, and it's like, oh, now I'm back.
You
it's
just
just
get
a
a
change
spark.
of environment,
Yeah.
right? So
I think they're in a way worse spot than London, honestly, if it comes to making changes to improve.
oh, I think so too. Just because London can do pretty much anything that they want, and it would be like whatever. Seattle can make grave mistakes again, or they can go out there and maybe make some big plays.
So when you get to some of those middle of the pack, bottom of the pack, up through kind of that 5th place, if you will, when you look at someone like a Toronto, do you make moves? Florida, do you make moves? If you're Gorillas, what are your thoughts on them? Should they just keep working on what they're working on?
It's harder when you're a mid-pack team because in general, everyone on the team is playing pretty well. Everyone on the team is performing. Like if you take, let's just take Toronto for example. Methods is doing fine. Kleenex Cammy, they're seen as like up-and-coming stars. Who's there?
I love Kleenex Cammy. Bance.
Bance.
Poor Bance.
No, but Bance is actually
My
playing
God.
well.
Yeah, no,
Bance
yeah.
is playing well, so it's like, who do we move? And if you're going to move them, you obviously want to look up. But those teams above you are not out here trying to give you their players. It makes no sense, so it becomes a lot harder for these teams to make moves. Even though they probably, if they want to win, some of them might need to tweak something or maybe do something, but they're not in dire need.
Yeah, Toronto for me, I think they stay put. They have a lot of potential. I love Kleenex and Cammy as a duo. Zin's been playing well. Bant's been playing well. And like you said, John, is like they're at a weird spot because right now, since the first major, everyone who is above them, they're not looking to make a change for them. They're the team that, like, if a top team right now kind of falls off and wants to make a change, that's when that move happens. In terms of like Florida, in my opinion, I kind of want to see them stay put as well. I will say this though, because I think they have a lot of potential, and I do think Slack is underappreciated, right? But he thrives when he has. This is going to sound like a backhanded compliment. He thrives when he has superstars around him, because he is like that role player, that glue, that guy who will consistently do the dirty work, make sure everyone's playing fundamentally correct. But Florida's not quite there yet on having like a team full of superstars. Like Neptune's still a question mark for me. Obviously, Awakening is a superstar. I think Skies is great too. I don't know if I would say he's a superstar AR player.
He's really good though.
He's Hall of the very good. But maybe if Neptune doesn't improve as quick as they would like, maybe you try and get another young talent for Slacked, or I don't know. But I think right now for those teams, it's too early. You got to let them feel it out and see if they can improve.
I'd agree with you. And you're not going to get any of those pro talents. So what I would do is just keep my ear to the challengers streets, essentially, and just wait. Just wait.
see who's performing well
Just
in
wait.
Challenger.
Yeah, you just got to wait for that guy, whoever that guy is, and grab him right away. Because, I mean, last year, I was part of the Optic LA team, and I said, get Mac. They didn't get Mac. Like, you run out of these things are quick. Like right there, they'll be gone, and then he's gone.
Because someone else is gonna.
Yeah.
All the teams, even if it's FaZe right now, and you're the number one team in the league, you're still looking at challengers just in case.
Right. Everyone.
You want to know what the future could look like, right? What the players could look like coming into the league, even if it's not this year, maybe next year. So it's going to be something that I'm interested in seeing. Because there will be, I think there's at least one player in the challenger scene right now who could potentially turn around an organization.
Without a doubt.
So New York, you said, was quick to the gun, grabbing Mac last year, the New York Subliners. Mac's still on that roster. But I want to talk about New York because the rookie we were all excited to see, HyDra, has only recently been able to get over to the States. The problem, New York just got third in the major, Asim, Diamond Con, Mac, Clay. The team looks really, really good. So what happens with this rookie everyone was excited about? What do you do?
Go ahead, Ian. Because I know what you want to.
They're in a very weird spot right now for a couple reasons. One, the team has looked great. I think they, it's obvious they're a top 4 team in Cold War right now. And on top of that, all of the players have been playing pretty damn well.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like they kind of got third, but there's a player or two that aren't playing up to par. They're all playing really well. But I know that Clay wants a team with HyDra. I know Clay gassed him up. Clay was probably one of the main reasons why HyDra got the opportunity that he did. But because they're playing so well and there's not a clear-cut person that he could remove or he could replace, they can't tiptoe around it. But at the same time, you don't want to just wait on it because he could be the next simp, you know? So you just need to make a clear-cut decision.
It's a scary spot. It's a scary spot. So if he's as good as they say, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how
next coming to
good.
scump.
It doesn't matter how good you are playing. You put the guy on your team. Like, how dumb would you be if you were United, to say in the past, and you had Simp waiting and you won the tournament and then you didn't put him on the team and then you let him go to another team and then he's Simp.
If you're expecting him to be a generational talent, it doesn't matter how good your team's doing.
Right.
Because he will improve you if you're that confident.
If you're that confident. The problem is that's just such a tough risk to take being New York because you're good.
Right.
You are good.
You just got third.
Right, and you don't know about him. Like, it maybe this is harsh to say, but it's just a fact of the Call of Duty scene. He's playing European challengers, so maybe
different game.
Maybe if he was playing in NA challengers and absolutely destroying, you just say,
Easier decision.
you know what? Fuck
Yeah,
it. we're gonna do this.
It's a lot more clear.
We're gonna do this. It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot more clear cut. I mean, Josh just won the Challengers Championship. He quit the year before. Yeah, he just won the in Europe. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's just a different. They're just more next level talent in NA, and that's just based on the Call of Duty scene. So maybe if he was here doing that, you could do that. I just can't see them doing that right now with this team.
But whatever they do, just make
You
the
have to.
decision.
You have to make the decision clear cut, no matter what it is, whichever way it is.
Unless New York starts falling off, right, and there is a player who is obviously not playing up to par, you can't make a team change, not even maybe officially do it, but be like, oh, we're going to practice with HyDra this week, right? You can't do that because then it just ruins the whole team dynamic, the chemistry for whoever is sitting on the bench. So it's like a waiting game. You can't bring HyDra in, not only for how well New York's doing. He just moved to the States, a young kid. I don't think he knows English too well.
That's a great point, though.
That's
You know,
Communication.
it's a culture shock. Like, he's been here for a week, about a week ago. Shout out Bobby Schwern. I'm just kidding. So, like, you got to give him some time. But if New York keeps playing as well as they are, it's things could get really interesting, I think, when
So
the
some
time
of those
comes.
middle of the pack teams, perhaps, that can only make lateral moves,
They might
maybe
go for
HyDra
him.
becomes
And
an
also as a
option.
businessman, if you truly don't believe that he might be the next, up and coming Jesus, you got to move him right now before his stock drops, because the way the business
He's hot
works,
on the market.
you could hot on the market. You could go and get maximum value, whatever that may be to your team, or however the way they look at it. You can get maximum value for him before anyone ever sees him play, because that's just how the world works. You just gotta hurry up and make sure you do
He's
that.
the number one draft pick.
Before he comes out number 2, he comes out or like Ryan Leaf, and people are like, you guys got had. You guys gotta get him quickly. You know what I mean? You gotta make moves.
This is not a European Challenger scene, brother. No, it's if I was them, I would not make a move now. I wouldn't try and rush it.
Fair enough.
And you don't want to think this way, but just wait to see if someone's not performing.
Things do happen. It's not like you just, we're the third best team. We're the third best team the whole time. Things do happen. So we'll see. I mean, if you have someone that talented in your back and you don't mind having him sit around,
I think that they're in a great spot with how good they looked, how good HyDra potentially is. So if things start falling off, they already got the player on their team. Right. They don't need
You
to
have
go
a backup.
Yeah, they don't
if
need
things
to
start
go
falling off,
make
he
a
needs
move.
to be a starter. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Boom.
Boom. And it's
So then, okay. Subliners, no change right now, potentially, but they do have to figure out what they want to do with HyDra. And I think we can say no changes for the top 3, right? You don't do anything with
I
a
know where
Dallas,
Katie's
an
going.
Optic, or
Optic
an
gotta
drop Scump
Atlanta.
low key. Optic,
Get him out.
If the
Sorry.
Optic gets enabled for Scump,
No. I need Scum. Me and him, 100%.
Oh, that duo?
2 for 2.
I forgot about that.
Only undefeated duo of all time.
Wow, that's incredible. Never mind, Envoy.
There
He's
you
like
go, then.
he's one of the best players in the game. Envoy, get out.
So you don't do anything with them, right? They stay the
No.
same.
Yeah,
They don't
all
need a
3 of those
change.
teams
So
stay the same.
then what about Thieves? Because a lot of the other middle of the pack folks, the folks that are 6 on down, you said lateral moves can kind of be an issue for them. Subliners we've talked about. What about Thieves then? Because
I'm going to let you go first.
I mean, they need to do something. They have to. They just have to. Because
What do you think they
I
should?
spend time with Austin. You spend time with Austin, Slasher.
Love Austin.
The way he operates
I love
is
Slasher.
no, yeah, he's a great guy, and actually being around him, he's all about winning. That's literally what he's all about. But there's two sides to that coin. He's all about winning. They're not winning. They might be pretty good, but that's not winning.
Right.
Even if they got third, he'd be like, "What the hell's going on? We
suck.
so
We're the worst.
pathetic.
Yeah,
It's so pathetic."
He has the mindset that they're the worst team if they're
Right.
not coming in first.
So as time goes on, it just starts to weigh on everyone more. And I don't know what they have to do because I don't think anyone on the team is bad. I don't think anyone's underperforming. They just have to be better.
Do you think it's more of like the fundamentals thing? I know that Austin tweeted about it, but do you think it's more of like them just polishing that teamwork as opposed to making a move?
So I have a couple takes on it. First, they need to send me the 14-day contract. No, but first, I think maybe they need to consider having Kenny run the sub with Tej. I don't know if it's a team thing while he was on the M4. I know that gun's really good, or it was just a personal thing. I think that they should be willing to try that. I don't think a team change is necessary by any means, unless there is some internal tension. You know, when it comes to, like we said, with Austin's mindset, and he expects greatness, but not only that, you need to always do the easy things, the fundamentals, like we talked about. He doesn't have, he doesn't give you too much time to like really get it down.
Austin has no patience for little things. So if you come off spawn and you don't call out where you spawned and where they spawned,
he's on
you for the rest of them. Like, it doesn't
for the
matter.
rest of the day.
You could have dropped 40 kills. He'd be like, you're not calling out spawns.
You fucked. You almost cost.
Why are you making this harder for me?
So
and he's not wrong. That's just how he is.
The only way that I could see them making a team change right now, and the only way that if I was the GM, if I was Mud Dog, if I would make a team change, is if there was tension and they need to switch the dynamic up. It happened in Black Ops 4 when I was a player on the team. We were way worse than they were. For context, but our attitudes, personalities just did not work. Everyone was at everyone's throats. Every single day we got on to practice. So if it's like that or even close, then maybe you just do it for like a restart. Kind of the same thing with talking about Sam, new environment. But I think it's way too early to change for them. I mean, they have Draza on the bench?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really not about the players' abilities. Like you said, tension, how they work, how they're working internally. I mean, we don't know that. So there's no way for us to answer who the person might be, because I'm not telling you to drop Tani. I'm definitely not telling you to drop Ken. So it's no personal thing. It's not a single person on the team. It's more,
can they figure out how to work as a unit?
Consistently, because I've seen them do it. I've seen them look phenomenal, and then I've seen them look like absolute crap. So I mean,
they need to figure out by the time the second major comes, or maybe
they got to figure it out before that. They got to figure it out before that, because the way they work is there's a lot of emotions.
You're right.
So
you're right.
if they're riding that emotional high, they're gonna look really scary, really scary. But if they're not, it just starts to go downhill really fast.
If they're a middle of the pack team going into stage 2, I think they'll make a team change.
I do too.
But they have time to maybe test a role swap between Kenny and Temp or whoever. They have time to improve, get the fundamentals down. But it's got to happen quick, because teams with Slasher, if you're not on top of your shit, it's not fun. It's not fun.
There's middle of the pack teams where things are
to
okay and they're like happy and they're like, we love each other, Ultra SF. And then there's middle of the pack where it's like, yeah, what the? I don't want to get on with you guys. Yeah.
I think the last thing to add is they should look into maybe a top challenger player as well. Just keep their eye on. But
they have Draza.
They do, but we know how Austin is. Austin don't like new friends.
He doesn't. Yeah, nah. He's not about that life.
Austin. You need Austin to be happy, because if he loses full and gives up on the team because they're not doing the right shit, it's not going to end well. You
happy
need him
Austin,
to be
happy life.
Absolutely.
You need Austin. If Austin is confident in the team, they're going to be fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because when he's confident, he takes a lot of the little stuff and he lets it go a little bit more. Mm-hmm. When he's not confident, all that little stuff starts to add up, and it
it boils over.
Yeah, it does boil over. And then, I mean, you're still dealing with a bunch of other personalities, not like just Austin. Then other people get upset at Austin. It just ruins the quality of practice, and it just becomes a little difficult.
It's domino effect.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to see with that. We've got a lot of potential movements on the horizon. Of course, once we know those groups, that might also add some questions on top of how those moves will be made, depending on where everyone falls heading into stage 2. But for that as well, kind of take a 30,000-foot view, a team, maybe a player, bad or good. Is there someone that you want to keep your eye on, someone that comes to mind as you get prepared for this next stage?
Yeah, take it away, John. Go ahead.
Assuming all the teams stay the same,
Yeah.
I'm going to be looking at Pristini. I know it's weird. They're at the bottom. But if they're going to turn it around, I think it's going to be a lot of him becoming like just a top player, like or even close in the conversation like we talked about with Neptune before. He has to be better. He just does. He just has to be better. And I do think that he has that in him. But Seattle, as it is not going to work. So if I'm looking from a deep view and I'm looking at Seattle, I want him to play better because I feel like I know what Looney gives us. He's never going to be the guy dropping 40s, but he's not the guy costing you either. He just needs the team to be functioning right so he can do all the dirty work, kind of like Slack in that sense. And then it starts to gel and look phenomenal. I mean, Gunless is going to be Gunless at the end of the day, Sam, but Pristini is the one that's an extreme wild card. I've seen him be pretty damn average to bad, and then I've also seen him go crazy.
Yeah, he's just very streaky.
Yeah,
He needs to find
some
some sort of
figure it
consistency.
out.
For me, Katie, I got to go Neptune. I was high on him before the first stage. I think he has the potential to really be a superstar. You know, his talent it's there. You can tell.
Yeah.
He needs to learn COD a little bit more. And while he doesn't have a Clay or Karim as an IGL, I think it's going to be a little bit slower for him to really grasp it. But I want to see where he goes. I want to see going into the next stage if he can really evolve into a superstar player. Because that'll be huge for Florida. I think that transforms them into a top team.
It could be a top 14 consistently with that. Yeah.
I think that they would be in the conversation, and you wouldn't be surprised maybe if they were in the finals, right? If he can improve to that level. But I also am looking at him because if he doesn't, and I don't want to make it seem like I'm putting all the weight on him for Florida's success, but if he doesn't, I think Florida might be one of the teams that, I guess on paper you would consider them like a top team, would be a team that would potentially make a move. Not for Neptune, for Slack, like I said, just because it's like we said, if you're not first, you're last. That's the mentality. So I'm hoping that he has a great second stage and really just puts on. I love seeing new talent flourish, you know?
Now, we still have unanswered questions for stage 2, the biggest one being, what are our groups going to be? Once we have those figured out, perhaps some of those questions answered in terms of what these teams decide to do. Do they make those roster changes or do they stick with what they currently have? We'll find that out. But that'll be it for us on Reverse Sweep, our preview show for stage 2, and we will see you guys a little later.